What's up, everybody? Big show for you today. Great show. I'm excited to be here. My name is King David. I'm a professional MMA champion, a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. I coach and I train at the greatest gym on the planet, Extreme Couture, alongside all the top UFC stars. Today, we're going to get into fighter pay. Big call out just happened today. Big call out. It was kind of crazy. Someone very, very integral to several upcoming fights in the UFC just called out Sugar Sean O'Malley over fighter pay and said, grow some balls. Now, why are they going at Sugar Sean? What does Sugar Sean's contract actually look like? Sugar Sean O'Malley recently said he got paid $600,000 approximately to fight at the UFC White House. And people are up in arms because he had one of the best performances ever by knocking his opponent out and doing a salute at the White House. And the controversy is he only got paid $600,000, but there's an even bigger problem because Sugar Sean O'Malley is he's publicly stated that he negotiates his own contracts. What that means to the sport, what's changing, why this other person is now involved, what that means for Sugar Sean O'Malley going forward. Man, we're going to get into it. We have a big show. So if you like getting into the weeds, if you like getting into the UFC behind the scenes, that's what today's show is all about. Let me check the chat real quick, guys, and make sure that we are actually streaming. Can you guys hear me? Can you 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 hear your boy? All right. So I got it all loaded up here, and I'm going to drop this in the chat real quick. Waiting on my guy, or upon the Don moderator extraordinaire to pull up. But we're gonna get it going anyways. Pin the message. Make sure you send your coach to studiomillions.com. I pinned it in the chat. And Studio Millions will help your coach pack their gym full of students who stay, pay, and refer. Also, make sure you follow Fight Circus on Instagram at Fight Circus. All right, guys. With that being said, I appreciate everybody who subscribed to the channel. And if you watch this after the fact, I respond to every comment still while I can. So today on Ariel Helwani, Eddie Hearn came on, and Eddie Hearn is beefing with Dana White over Tom Aspinall. He's beefing with Dana White over this upcoming Anthony Joshua fight. He's beefing with Dana White over Zuffa Boxing because he feels Zuffa Boxing is attempting to steal his clients and put on fights that Dana White has no legal right or ability to put on. So they have this ongoing beef. And today, Eddie Hearn told Sugar Sean O'Malley to grow some balls. He said, grow some balls and fight for what you're worth. You got to know what you're worth. He says Sugar Sean O'Malley put on a great performance at the UFC White House. And the fact that he only got $600,000 is despicable. He also said that there's people on undercards of boxing events fighting 8-round fights against tomato cans who Eddie Hearn's like saying that Eddie Hearn would beat up the tomato can. He's like, guys, I would beat up, right? He's like, there's dudes fighting 8-round fights against guys I would beat up that are making $600,000. He's like, these MMA fighters don't know their worth. And so he, not only did he see, it gets even more complex because he targeted Sugar Sean O'Malley about the $600,000 at the White House, but he also manages Tom Aspinall, and he just announced that he signed Ian Gary to a management contract. Now, what this means for Ian Gary, because Ian Gary's fighting Islam Makhachev for the UFC 170-pound title. They didn't announce this management deal until after that fight got signed. Care to guess why? They didn't announce it because they didn't want it to affect the negotiation. Because they feel that if they were to announce that Ian Gary is signed with Eddie Hearn, then that would make it so the UFC wouldn't want to promote Ian Gary. Now, Tom Aspinall has come out and said he wants to fight Cyril Gane, and he's training for that fight. The problem is, Eddie Hearn has said he wants to box Dana White. He wants to fist fight him. He said he will put hands on him. He called him a pussy. He called him all kinds of names. So now the UFC heavyweight champion is having his contract renegotiated by a guy who called his boss a pussy. So how do you think that goes? All right, let me take a sip of this Jocko Go. So my boy Jocko, he he's part owner of a gym in San Diego. I used to train there. And I'm like, you know what? Let me cop a Jocko Go. If I'm going to be drinking caffeine on the stream, might as well support my friend. So, and Jocko's fun to roll with, guys. So if you ever get out to San Diego, go to Victory MMA, roll with Jocko. We got John Dong in the chat. He says, "What's up? What's up, bruh? Man, how you living, my guy?" Also, so the way that this all plays together is that I believe, call me a theorist, I believe Eddie Hearn is targeting Sugar Sean O'Malley to be the next person that Eddie Hearn manages. Now, Sugar Sean O'Malley has publicly stated he doesn't need a manager because the UFC is essentially going to offer him fights, and he says yes, and what's needed. I've had this conversation with several fighters who don't want to pay a manager. In fact, they don't want to pay a manager as little as 10%. This happens frequently. And then they go out and they go negotiate on their own behalf. And when something doesn't go according to plan, or they get lowballed, or they get anything, let's say you're at an event and your opponent misses weight, but you're your own manager. Now you're trying to rehydrate and go back through the contract to talk about rehydration clauses and all kinds of shit. Who's going to get what percentage? Now, the promoter isn't going to like make that super easy for you. They're going to blow you off. They got a lot of shit to do. So while you're trying to rehydrate and get ready for your fight tomorrow, instead of doing that, now you have to multitask with also trying to get this guy to agree to a weigh-in clause that may not be in your contract because you didn't negotiate that, right? And so in the event that it is negotiated in the contract, you still have to enforce it. This is where a manager comes in. Now, when it comes to fighter pay, Sugar Sean O'Malley, in my opinion, is worth way more than $600,000 at the White House, personally, especially after that performance. They could have doubled his pay, gave him a $600K bonus. They could have gave him $1 million bonus. He literally KO'd somebody and saluted on a walkaway. That's fucking legendary. Eddie Hearn also says the reason why there weren't more fighters from the UFC showcased at the UFC White House event is because the UFC doesn't want these guys to feel like they're stars. They want to keep their shine low. They want to keep their star power low so that they can kind of boss them around. Eddie Hearn's publicly saying all these guys are stars. They need to be promoted as such, and they need to get paid way more money. Now, Sugar Sean O'Malley doesn't have a manager because he's like, well, I got these guys to fight. I'm going to fight them. What do I need a manager for? The point of the manager is this, and no one understands this in MMA. It's not always to get you fights. It's not always to get you sponsors. While they can do that, that's cool, right? A lot of that's going to come just by being the person you are and the opportunities that are presented to you. A lot of that's already handled. Now, in my case, I have a great manager. He can go out and get me fights. He's got relationships with promoters. He's built a long-term, 10-plus-year resume in the fight game. He's fought amateur. He's fought pro. He coaches. So he's in the game. But more importantly than that, what the actual duty, I believe, as a professional MMA champion, someone who's coached, cornered in the UFC, done all that, I believe it's good cop, bad cop. Because let's say you were a actor or a musician or whatever. You're in fucking Hollywood. And they're like, hey, man, we want you to do this movie where you wear a dress. Your job is to go, oh, bro, yeah, man, thank you for thinking of me, dude. Yeah, just send it to my manager. Dude, yeah, man, sounds like a great opportunity, right? Your job is to be good, energy, vibey, thank people, gratitude, all this. Your job is not to be an asshole to the person that's hiring you. Your manager's job is to come and go like, hey, man, King David, he's looking forward to this, man. He would love to do your movie. Yeah, that sounds awesome. Here's the problem, though. I don't think it's on brand for him to wear a dress. So we're going to need the dress taken out of the fucking contract. He can't wear a dress. Maybe he could be like a bad guy, like a fucking vigilante hitman in the movie. Maybe we should do that instead. Oh, well, we're only paying this. Well, bro, listen, man, he's got this kind of da 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 da. The similar people at his status were paid this in previous movies. Now your manager's going down the line items and negotiating on your behalf and is willing to look like the bad guy to get you the most possible, because the promoter's not going to just give it to you. It's not in their best interest to just hand you a bunch of fucking free shit. But your manager can go in there and be the asshole and go, hey, man, listen, this is a White House card. Sugar Sean O'Malley is one of the only Americans who's fighting a non-American that has a high likelihood of winning. It would look good for the UFC, the American people, in front of Trump, that we have Sugar Sean on the card. That's good for everybody. Sugar's going to KO somebody. He's been a big star for you before. He's delivered pay-per-view numbers. He's main evented for you before. He's taken fights when you needed to on short notice. We got to get paid, bro. We want to take the fight. We love the fight. We love the matchup. We love all that. But here's the problem. As much as we love that matchup, that guy's kind of boring. He's not a big name. He's coming on a lot of wins. So to fight a guy like that at the White House, where we believe it's a good stylistic matchup, but that guy can make Suge look boring, dude, you got to send us some money, bro. Well, you get what I'm saying? And then Suge's like, dude, I'm excited. It's great. Yeah, hey, dude, I'm there. So Suge gets to, and I'm just using him as an example because he was brought up today. Now, let's say they get him an extra mil or an extra 600K. He would have paid 10% of, let's call it 1.2 million, 120 grand to his manager. Out of that, he's still making over $1 million. Or he could have negotiated himself, kept 100% of the 600,000. So let me ask you this. Would you rather have 90% of 1.2 million, or would you rather have 100% of 600,000? So that's where the manager comes in. You are like, chill, don't worry about it all. There's a great example of this. If you guys go on HBO and go back in the day and watch a TV series called Entourage, there was a dude named Vinny Chase. And Vinny Chase was the star. He was carefree, didn't worry about a thing. He had a manager and he had an agent, and he let them battle it out. He went over there and was enjoying his life. Hey, man, I'll be at the beach. Hey, man, I'll be over here eating dinner. I'll be going to a restaurant. I got a date tonight, guys. You figure it out. Hey, man, appreciate you guys. Dude, I trust you guys. I know you're going to come to the best decision for all of us. That's the energy of the star. The manager is supposed to fucking fight, itemize the deal, pick it apart, go through it line by line, push. And they're supposed to have the expertise to know what other people in similar situations. And see, here's the thing. In addition to knowing what other people get paid, you can also know what people get paid in other industries. So you can compare Sugar Sean O'Malley to a boxer. You get what I'm saying? Now you're comparing, instead of apples to apples, where a lot of fighters are underpaid in the UFC or whatever organization in MMA. MMA in general has a fighter pay issue. You can compare to boxing. And they go, well, this isn't boxing, it's a different business model. But your manager's argument should be, dude, listen, I get that. And that's fine for all these other guys. Sugar Sean O'Malley is a fucking star, bro. Listen, we just want what's fair. That's fair. Just respect us, bro. Which is something I thought was cool that Eddie Hearn was saying, was that he doesn't want to drag anybody over the coals for money. He just wants to be respected. So now he's saying Tom Aspinall is ready to fight Cyril Gahn, and they're going to renegotiate the contract because Tom's previous contract was on a pay-per-view model, and now there's no more pay-per-views. So there actually does have to be a contract renegotiation. And the problem with that is Eddie Hearn's going to want a big sum of money, and I'm sure the UFC already has some form of this to that comparison, like, hey, the pay-per-view model paid this, we're going to match that by this type of number because the average of pay-per-views was this. So on Paramount, now we're going to pay, right? And then Eddie Hearn's going to come in and do what I'm talking about, which is, that's cool. Here's what boxing would pay him. That's cool. Here's what the NBA would pay him. That's cool. Here's what his sponsors are paying him. We would love to make this fight. You know how big of a fight this could be? This is a great fight for the British market. This is a great fight for the French market. This is a great fight for the European market. This is going to expand your brand in France. We're going to bring these name brand sponsors on with Tom. That's going to allow you to build a relationship with them. If this goes well, everybody's going to make money together. We just want to be respected, bro. Like that's not that's is that too crazy to ask? So that's what Eddie Hearn is attempting to do. Now, he said Sean O'Malley needs to grow some balls, which that bro, that's kind of a harsh statement, right? Because I don't think that it's a lack of balls. I think that Sugar Sean O'Malley is like most people that I've met who have this theory like, dude, I'm gonna say yes to the fights. Why would I give this guy 10%? But the missing piece is that there's so much more that could be pushed for. If the manager pushes and pushes and pushes, that's what their 10% is supposed to be for, is to like push the fucking envelope. I've seen this so many times. I know people who are literally like, so I train at Extreme Couture and I sometimes go over to the UFC Performance Institute. I'm training with guys that are big stars. There's guys that are fighting for like, let's call it 10 and 10. And I know their manager, and I know a different manager who has a less famous guy with less wins on a better contract because the manager knew what to push for. I know guys that are signed to managers where the managers are literally signing them to feed them to people to beat them up, right? So they're signing a guy to lose so that they can go, hey, we'll give you this loser, just help us promote our winner. Right. And so a lot of people don't really know what's going on in the industry. A lot of people don't see behind the scenes. A lot of people don't know that that's kind of the game on the regional scene. And then when you get to the big leagues, there's other people that are. So when Connor negotiates his contract, Connor's pulling up with numbers. Connor's pulling up with his pay-per-view numbers. Connor's pulling up with his gate numbers, how many tickets were sold. Connor's pulling up with his view count. Connor's pulling up with how many embeddeds. Connor's pulling up with how much money they make on the sponsorships on the embeddeds that UFC does. Connor's saying, hey, before I fought, you didn't have this sponsor. Now that I fought and generated this many views, now you have these two additional sponsors. So because we're generating more views with me here, now you're getting more sponsorship money. You're getting more ticket sales. Hey, when I beat up Max Holloway the first time they fought, Max went on to be a star because he was associated with my name. When I fought Dustin Poirier went on to be a star because he was associated with my name. Look at the numbers he did before he fought me and look at the numbers he did after he fought me. Look at Khabib's numbers. And then Connor's coming in there with a whole slew of information. And then it's very hard to debate that because it's literally clear as day. Like, oh, this guy's worth more money. That's the manager's job. The manager's job isn't to go in there, just agree to whatever the fuck the promoter says, and then take 10%. So, anyways, I believe Sugar Sean O'Malley should get a manager. I believe it would do him well. I'm not saying Eddie Hearn is the guy, but I believe that Sugar Sean O'Malley should have somebody being the bad guy and pushing to get him what he's worth. Also, Ian Gary's in an interesting situation because if he beats Islam Makhachev and he has Eddie Hearn as his manager, Eddie's going to start pushing to get his pay up. Eddie also was critical of Conor McGregor. He said that Conor shouldn't have met them halfway because Conor said that they met in the middle on the deal, that Conor's a big star and Conor should have got every penny he's worth, which is aspirational to think about. And you should have your management push for that. But sometimes you got to meet in the middle because they're also going, hey, man, we know you were a star, Conor. But that was years ago. And while you may still be a star, we don't know if you're a star who could still fight. We don't know what we're investing in here. So meet us in the middle on this fight. We're going to give you a bag. You're going to go fight. If you're impressive, then we're going to renegotiate. If you're not impressive, you may get shelved. Or you may have to stick out this contract and then we're going to give you the worst matchup possible. And then we'll try and renegotiate with you then at a much lower number. And if you don't take that, then you are tainted goods to the free market. You know what I mean? Like, so the promotion, whether it's UFC or any promotion, is going to do what's in their best interest. And then if you have a manager who's about that fucking smoke and is willing to be the bad guy, it's the most important thing, because you don't want to have a reputation as a fighter, as an actor, as a fucking musician, as anything, as the dude that's a fucking asshole, a bad guy, hard to work with, any of that, because they just won't fuck with you. They won't book you. They won't look to bring you back. You won't be a pleasant person. They won't send you a good, hey man, they're looking to sponsor somebody. And we gave them a list of 10 fighters. We included your name on that list. The promotion won't do that for you if you're fucking hard to work with. So your job as a star in any field is to be chill, good energy, easy to work with, vibey, appreciative, thankful, grateful. And then your manager comes in and fucking crushes every deal point as much as he can within reason, and have the expertise to know when to push and know when to sign. Right. And so that's what you're paying the 10% for. That's why you got to get a good manager, not just anybody. So that's the other problem. A lot of these managers are not actually managing anything. They're what's called like booking agents. So a booking agent, and they call themselves managers in MMA, will send out a list to all their fighters. Hey, I got 100 fighters on the roster, to like, let's say, regional promoters. And then the promoters will go, hey, we're interested in this guy for this guy, this guy for this guy, this guy for this guy, this guy for this guy. They send the manager the information back, and then they go, hey, John, we have this guy for you on this show. We got you a fight. They're literally doing nothing. They're just telling you what the promoter told them. They didn't renegotiate. They didn't push. They didn't go, hey, man, this is a good opportunity, but we're going to need like twice the money. Or we also see you got this guy on the card. We'll take the money you offered to fight that guy, but not this guy, because this guy's a tougher matchup and we need to be compensated more for a more difficult matchup where my fighter might take more damage. Right? Like, there's a way to operate other than just presenting, hey man, we got a list of these 200 guys or this 100 guys or whatever, and then whoever the promoter wants, you just present it to your fighter. And then the other 96 guys that the promoter didn't, oh bro, don't have any fights for you, dude. I know, we're working on it, bro. We're working on it. They're not working on it. They're just sending lists out to promoters, and promoters are picking and choosing. And that's why you see on the regional scene a lot of these guys not fighting. And you'll hear like whispers in the night, so and so's good. This guy's an up and coming star from that gym. This guy's a star at that gym. That guy beat up so and so in sparring. Well, they have a booking agent, not a manager. So no one's managing their career. Someone's just booking them when there's a booking opportunity. And if there's no proactive booking opportunity, there's no fight. And so that's the difference between a manager and a booking agent, even though these dudes are calling themselves managers and they're really fucking not. Also, I just want to send a shout out to Dustin Poirier, man. He's going through it right now. We're sending that guy good energy. And let's not forget what Dustin's done for the sport. Dustin's done a lot. He's struggling with some issues right now. And I feel the best way to address it isn't to all jump on him and, oh man, blah, 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 look at him, blah, blah. It's like, dude, we're hoping for the best for him. Maybe go buy his hot sauce. Maybe support him. He's donated a lot of money to charity. He's presented us with some great fights over the years. He's fought the best of the best. He's given us great memories. Dude's a legend in the sport. And I really, really hope to see Dustin Poirier uh, in the light which I believe is most true to him, which is an amazing light, a charitable person, and someone who overcomes these challenges. So that's what I'm saying about Dustin Poirier, because I know he's in the news right now. Real ones in the chat. Let's freaking go, bro. Real ones recognize real ones. Let's freaking go. Yeah. So, oh, also, people have been picking Ian Gary to beat Islam Makhachev. What about that? Now, here's the one thing I will say about that, because I haven't went back and watched their fights, because I have a problem watching Ian. I'm just so biased against Ian Gary, just because a lot of the stuff he says rubs me the wrong way. I'm like, dude, get the shut. Whoa, but that's neither here nor there. So I gotta go watch his shit as an objective, like, outside observer, because Islam is going up in weight. So when we talk about Islam, his legacy, he's beat Volkanovski twice. Volkanovski's a 45 pounder. So the same way that we saw Ilya struggle with a legitimate 55 pounder in Gaethje, we might see some of that with Ian Gary versus Islam Makhachev, because Islam has made a career out of fighting at 55 and sometimes even fighting against 145 pounders. So I'm curious to go back and watch Ian Gary and then also watch some of Islam stuff, because Islam, he's had really good fights against really good guys, but some of those guys aren't the same physical stature as Ian Gary. So I'm curious to see how that'll play out in the fight. So before I make my predictions on that, I'm gonna go rewatch those guys. And then I'm thinking that Tom Aspinall might come back and fight Cyril Gahn, overstep Josh Hokett. And I feel like Josh Hokett's right there, but I feel like they're offering Hokett an imaginary fight to push the negotiations with Tom. So when we're talking about this management situation, they're going to go to Eddie Hearn and go, hey, man, that's great. You feel this value is all here. That's great that you think Tom's a star. That's all fine and good. Here's what we think his contract that was on a pay-per-view model is worth on a non-pay-per-view model. And then Eddie Hearn's going to come back with a big ass number that's got nothing to do with that. And then they're going to go, okay, Eddie, we appreciate your take. We see that you highly value your client, which you should. That's good. We are prepared to book Josh Hokett versus Cyril Gahn. What do you want to do, Eddie? What do you want to do? You want to shut the gravy train down? So that's where it gets shrewd, right? Because they're willing to move on, and Eddie's got to be willing to know when to fucking fold them, know when to hold them, know when to walk away, know when to run. You know what I mean? Like Eddie's got to be aware of that. And I would say that he's so used to boxing, he may misunderstand the difference between what a fighter is valued and what the UFC is actually going to fucking pay, right? Because as valuable as Tom might be to the UFC's got a fucking brand, whereas boxing doesn't have a brand. Nobody's looking for the WBC champion. Nobody's looking for Eddie Hearn Promotions. I don't even know what Eddie Hearn's promotion company is called. You get what I'm saying? Whereas the UFC is going to carry on. They don't go, oh, it's the Shavkat Rakhmonov fight versus. So no, they goes the UFC's on tonight. That's what most people do. Oh man, you guys watching UFC? Oh, cool, man. I have a friend, he trains UFC. That's what people say. They don't really know the fighters like that. So it's different in boxing where the promoter and the organization are not the star in a lot of ways. In UFC is a star. So I believe if he goes in there trying to negotiate boxing numbers, he may be misunderstanding the nature of the business because it is not a direct one-to-one correlation. Let me read the chat, guys. I know we're on early too, man. See, that's why I appreciate you guys for hopping on. And those of you that got notifications on and are subscribed, if you set your notifications to all, then when I hop on at random ass early times, fuck, I got to go to the gym in 2 minutes. But yeah, so when you guys hop on early with me, it's because you get the notification because you got to set to all, because YouTube by default only sends some notifications. So you're like, dude, you were on? I didn't even get a notification. You got to tap the bell and then set it to all notifications, because by default, it's not set to all for whatever reason. So anyways, yeah, I'm not a fan of what Gary says either. Wasn't taking responsibility for injuring Shavkat. John Dong in the chat. I think it's going to be a tough fight for Islam. He couldn't submit JDM. I don't see him submitting Ian Gary. Yeah, man, that's what I'm starting to think too. Like, this is a tougher fight. People are getting gassed up on the Islam Makhachev unbeatable hype, you know? And Ian Gary is also very unlikable. So it's easy to mistake one's dislike for his lifestyle and personality and all that as his inability to fight, and you got to keep those two separate. So yeah, I totally agree that if Islam's having issues with JDM, he might have some issues with Ian Gary. Dude, this is starting to be an interesting matchup, man. Starting to be an interesting matchup, guys. Now you guys got me going into fight breakdown mode, which I try not to do. I try not to, because I'm like, there's so many people breaking down the fights, the X's and the O's. I try and have a different angle on it, a different take, you know? Hey, what's up, guys? John Hogan in the chat. I felt that comment. People don't know the sport, know someone who trains UFC. Yeah, yeah, you know what I mean. And so it's crazy because out here in Vegas, there's a promotion called Tough Enough that has a lot of amateur fighters on it, you know. And so you'll be out and about and just talking with somebody, and somebody will go like, "Oh, my boyfriend fights in the UFC," and you're like, "Oh yeah, he's a fighter? Yeah, he fights at Tough Enough." And you're like, "Tough Enough's not UFC." And then you're like, "Is he amateur or pro?" "Oh yeah, he's amateur." I'm like, "What's his record?" And she's like, "Yeah, he's really good. He's 1-3." And you're like, you sure he's not 3-1?" "No, no, no. He just won his first fight." And you're like, "Dude, he's got 3 losses and 1 win as an amateur." And you're telling people that like it's crazy how different people's perception is from reality. So especially in a fight city like Vegas, it can get a little bit weird when people don't know the difference in competition between like there's a like I'm a pro MMA champion. There's a difference in competition between me winning this belt versus being a UFC champion. Big, big leap in skill and ability, right? And yeah, people oftentimes think that an amateur title is the same as a pro title, and a pro title is the same as a major promotion title, and a major promotion title is the same as a UFC title. So there's oftentimes people who are like uh, Bellator or PFL champions or other organizational champions that there's a difference, right? That's why you no matter what anybody says, even with the Netflix stuff with Gina Carano, I think there's a lane for that. The Ronda Rousey, all of that. I'm a big fan of entertaining fights. So I fuck with Netflix. I fuck with Jake Paul, MVP, all that. But UFC's got the market on like, dude, the baddest motherfuckers are here. You know, they do. There's some guys that are so fucking good. It's hard to even express. Like at Extreme Couture, there's guys that are so fucking good that like I don't know how anybody's ever beat them ever. You and I'm like, dog, you got losses, bro. Who the fuck beat you, bro? What the dude? It's fucking trippy. So yeah, man, there's definitely levels, and I'm happy I trained in one of the best gyms on the planet. It's I'm so fortunate and that I get to see those levels on a day-to-day basis. And it's a never-ending quest, guys. Start doing martial arts, it'll change your life. I love you guys. I'll see you on tomorrow. And I might pop on later tonight. My goal for tonight, John Hogan, is to actually come back from the gym right now. I'm headed there. I'm gonna go stick people's heads up their ass in Justin James wrestling class. Justin James is actually the one who was picking Ian Gary. He's got a podcast called 10-7 Podcast. I went on there and I predicted Strickland would bounce his nuts off Hamzat's head. I was 100% sure about that. But yeah, Justin James, UFC fighter and coach at Extreme Couture. He's got a class tonight. I'm pulling up to his class. And then tonight, I want to come on and this video, this live right now, I actually wanted to do as a video, not just a live. And then I wanted to go live. Anyways, listen, man, I'm not a fucking software engineer. All right. So I'm working on it, guys. I'm working on it. It's progress, not perfection. I love you guys. I will see you later tonight or tomorrow. No telling what might happen. Have notifications on. Let's freaking go. Or upon the dawn.